Welcome to YP Patriot YouTube channel. John Fetterman is done. He's down, knocked down, and good night.
Hi, good night, everybody. Hi, good night, everybody.
Two punches. I mean, that is a mark of a shot fighter when you can't get all punches.
That's all it took. One shot. He may not get up. Both are stumbling around. 8, 9. Can he make it? It's over.
Hi, good night, everybody.
It caused great concerns to people in Pennsylvania, especially where, in the words of Charlie Pierce, he wanted the Parks and Recreation people to make decisions on the local level for abortions. I don't know how that's going to play in Scranton. Probably not well. And then you had, of course, Fetterman, who's struggling. He's struggling with the effects of a stroke that he suffered in May. And, you know, I said it's very obvious that he is impaired. His ability to communicate is impaired. And the question is, you now Pennsylvania voters have a couple of choices. And I'm curious, Jake Sherman, what you think. Just a quick snapshot. I know that David Axelrod said that he was concerned with the performance last night. But you had a ton of Democrats, again, talking about Dr. Oz not fitting the state. What was your takeaway?
I think the overwhelming takeaway that I heard, and I think this is a fair thing to say, is people are questioning why he went into this debate, why he did this debate. Now, of course, if he didn't do this debate, Joe, it would have probably raised more questions, and people would have been on him for that, saying you can't run in a critical Senate race in a critical year where the Senate is is kind of balancing on a pinhead. You can't not debate. But I think overwhelmingly people will watch that and see that he's still struggling from the fallout of his stroke. I think that much is obvious. I mean, obviously, Dr. Oz, as you indicated, said some things that are not fitting for Pennsylvania. This is a race that will be won, as both men kind of indicated, in the suburbs of Philadelphia and the suburbs of Pittsburgh, kind of the suburban vote that has carried races like this for a long time. And the question is, will people think that Fetterman is up for the job, able to serve? And will Dr. Oz's views on things like abortion kind of scare or concern those suburban voters? But I think it's undoubtable. It's completely legitimate to say that he's still struggling with his ability to speak. Right. And you would expect that. But I think we saw that on display last night in a way that we have not seen it on display, Joe, in rallies and in other appearances that he's had.
All right. So what did you think after the debate?
So I was definitely, I'm an independent, by the way. I was definitely leaning towards Fetterman, and I think I have totally changed to the Oz side.
Why?
I felt that Fetterman just looked like he didn't have command of the facts. I do think his condition, unfortunately, is going to affect his ability to do the job. I thought Oz was pretty clear on the issues, and I thought he presented himself well and definitely threw out some plans where I didn't see any plans coming out of Fetterman.
All right. Appreciate it.
On to the next topic, and this has come up earlier, and that is the issue of fracking. Pennsylvania only trails Texas in terms of natural gas production. Both of you have taken shifting positions on the issue of fracking. Mr. Oz, we begin with you. You wrote a column in 2014 calling for no fracking pending health study results. But in a video posted on social media in March, you said, quote, natural gas guarantees high-paying skilled jobs right here in Pennsylvania, so back off Biden, give us freedom to frack. Mr. Oz, please explain that changing position. 60 seconds.
I've been very consistent. Fracking has been demonstrated. It's a very old technology to be safe. It is a lifeline for this Commonwealth to be able to build wealth, similar to what they've been able to achieve in other states. For that reason, I strongly support fracking, drilling, the piping of that natural gas. In fact, I'd build a facility even in Philadelphia so we can export it to our allies and help them, the ones that are struggling now in Eastern and Western Europe because of the Ukrainian war. John Fetterman calls fracking a stain on Pennsylvania. He says that he would sign a moratorium to ban its continued use. He's against pipelines. He voted or supported the vote against the Keystone Pipeline that ended up shutting it down. He supports Biden's desire to ban fracking on public lands, which are our lands, all of our lands together. This is a extreme position on energy. If we unleashed our energy here in Pennsylvania, it would help everybody. Why John Fetterman is so rigidly stuck on fighting against energy companies is stunning to me, because it's the jobs I want. Tens of thousands of high-paying jobs to help Pennsylvanians.
Thank you, Mr. Oz.
Oz rule.
Mr. Fetterman, 15
I
seconds.
absolutely support fracking. In fact, I live across the street from a steel mill, and they were going to frack to create their own energy in order to make them more competitive. And I support that. Living closer to anybody else in Pennsylvania for fracking to myself. I believe that we need independence with energy, and I believe I've walked that line my entire career. I believe Democrats...
Mr. Fetterman, I do have a specific question, which you can continue on this topic, but you have made two conflicting statements regarding fracking. In a 2018 interview, you said, quote, "I don't support fracking at all. I never have." But earlier this month, you told an interviewer, quote, "I support fracking. I support the energy independence that we should have here in the United States." So, Mr. Fetterman, please explain your changing position. 60 seconds.
I've always supported fracking, and I always believe that independence with our energy is critical, and we can't be held, ransom to somebody like Russia. I've always believed that energy independence is critical, and I've always believed that, and I do support fracking. I've never taken any money from their industry, but I support how critical it is that we produce our own energy and create energy independence.
I must correct the record.
Just a second, Mr. Oz. I do want to clarify something. You're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, "I don't support fracking at all." So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand, and I do support fracking.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fetterman.
Fracking. Yeah, fracking. No, I don't support fracking at all, and I never have. I don't support fracking. I think it's something that has to eventually go away.
Neil said I oppose fracking.
You said it on tape.
I did. Show the tape. Put it on your website.
I'll put it on.
Put it on the website. The fact of the matter is he's flat lying.
Would you rule out banning fracking?
I do rule out banning fracking because I am not banning fracking. Let me say that again. I am not banning fracking, no matter how many times Donald Trump lies about me.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated and no more subsidies for either one of those.
I'm talking about stopping fracking as soon as we possibly can. No ifs, buts, and maybes about it. I'm talking about speaking to China. Well, I'm not sure your proposal does that.
I would not stop fracking. I'd gradually move away from fracking. I would just not do more fracking on federal lands.
Alyssa, I've got to go to you. Following the debate, if you were to vote today, who should be the next Pennsylvania senator?
Well, based off of the debate last night, I think Oz won by a landslide. I do feel bad for Fetterman, but we're not handing out participation trophies. I think that he definitely fell short last night. Not only I'm not criticizing his speaking ability whatsoever, but the content that he brought to the table and the failure to put together a plan of action is not what our state needs right now.
All right. At this time, we are ready for our closing statements. You each have 90 seconds to convince Pennsylvanians to vote for you on Election Day. Mr. Fetterman, you are first. 90 seconds.
Once again, I would just like to say that my campaign is all about fighting for anyone in Pennsylvania that ever got knocked down, that had to get back up again. You know, I'm also fighting for any forgotten community all across Pennsylvania that ever got knocked down, that had to be made to get back up. You know, I've made my entire career dedicating to those kinds of pursuits. I started as a GED instructor back in Braddock over 20 years ago because I believe it's about serving Pennsylvania, not about using Pennsylvania for their own end interests as well. To me, careers are revealed by your real underlying values. And my values have always been about fighting for forgotten communities all across Pennsylvania.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fetterman. Mr. Oz, your final thoughts, 90 seconds.
I've loved traveling to the four corners of the beautiful Commonwealth, and I've heard your problems. I'm a surgeon, doctor. I listen to what you say, and I'm trying to help address them today. I've talked to seniors worried their Social Security checks wouldn't go far enough with the raging inflation. I've talked to couples when I make their first down payment on a new house and they can't afford it anymore because of interest rates. I've talked to families.
You want to cut Social Security?
Mr. Fetterman, it's his turn for his closing.
I've talked to families worried about fentanyl showing up in their mailbox and literally taking the lives of their children who they find blue in bed. I've talked to families who won't let their kids go outside because of the crime wave that's been facilitated by left radical policies like the ones John Fetterman has been advocating for. But here's the deal. Right? None of this has to happen. This is all very addressable. I'm a surgeon. I'm not a politician. We take big problems, we focus on them, and we fix them. We do it by uniting, by coming together, not dividing. And by doing that, we can get ahead. But I've got one question to challenge you with, just one question. If you take what I'm saying to heart, ask yourself this and others in your family. Are you unhappy with where America's headed? I am. And if you are as well, then I'm the candidate for change. I'm a living embodiment of the American dream. I believe we're the land of opportunity, the land of plenty. I believe we can balance a budget without recklessly spending. I believe we can have an unleashed energy policy that helps us all. I believe that we can have safe city streets and a secure border so legal immigrants can come across, but you shut the fentanyl out. I believe we can give parents choice in where their kids go to school. We can have affordable health care. But most of all, I believe in you. And if you can do this together, and we can, I would ask for your vote on Election Day. God bless you.
We do have...